Welcome back to another video. My name's Lisa Jane and I am so pleased that you have clicked on this video and you want to see what are my anticipated releases for the year of 2026. So at the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, I was obviously, and I think I've shown you this before, I was filling out my reading journal, and in here I have noted down, I think it's 12 or 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 releases that I am really excited for. These could be completely new books or books relating to a series that I'm in the middle of. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. So, my first anticipated release, and these are not going to be in any order, and the date releases I give are not set in stone. It's just dates that I found on the internet, Goodreads, etc. So these are subject to change. However, I'm going to give you the dates I found, and the first one we are going to talk about is The Thorn Queen by Sasha Peyton Smith. And I will pop a picture here, and what I've done is for each book I'm going to sort of give you a rundown. Now, The Thorn Queen is a sequel to The Rose Bargain. I read The Rose Bargain in 2025, thoroughly enjoyed it, and I wanted to read the next book in the series. So what I will do is I'll just give you a little synopsis of the first book so that we're not giving any spoilers. So, book one was called The Rose Bargain, and it just says, every citizen of England is granted one bargain from their immortal Fey Queen. High society girls are expected to bargain for qualities that will win them suitors. A rare talent for piano in exchange for one's happiest childhood memory. A perfect smile for one's ability to taste. But Ivy Benton's debut season arrives with a shocking twist. A competition to secure the heart of the Queen's Fey son, Prince Bran. A prize that could save Ivy's family from ruin and free her sister from the bargain that destroyed her. Yet glittering Fey has a rotting heart, and at the centre of this contest is a dark plot that could destroy everything. I read this book in 2025, like I said, and we left on a bit of a cliffhanger, and I can't wait for The Thorn Queen. This is classed, I think, as a YA series. But yeah, absolutely loved it and would highly recommend if you haven't read the first book. The Thorn Queen is due for release on the 23rd of April this year. So, like I say, these dates are not set in stone necessarily, but these are the dates I've found so far. The second book I am really excited for is Burn of the Everflame by Pen Cole. I have read Spark of the Everflame, Heat of the Everflame and Glow of the Everflame. I can't remember which way around they all are. So I've read 3 books and I'm waiting for, I think this might be the final book. But yeah, it's a romantasy series, it's enemies to lovers, and it's a very slow burn romance. And yeah, I just thoroughly enjoyed the first 3 books and can't wait for this 4th one. Again, I'm not going to tell you what the 4th one's going to be entailing because I don't want to spoil the previous 3 books. But it is based around a young healer called DM Balator. And she's yearned to escape her village. The village is in Emarion, and the village is ruled by cruel demigods known as the Descended. And it says, although her parents have always tried to shield her from their brutality, DM's world changes forever when her mother goes missing. So in the first book, her mother goes missing, and this leads DM on a journey to finding her mum. And basically that's where it all kicks off and starts. And on this journey, she meets this dying king's handsome, enigmatic hair, and I can't think of his name now. If I can think of his name, I will pop it on the screen here. But I just loved the two character dynamics of these together. Yeah, highly recommend this series. And yeah, can't wait for Burn of the Everflame. And that is due to release on the 14th of July 2026 as it stands now. The third book I want to talk about, and I'm highly anticipating, it's called The Daisy Chain Flower Shop. This is part of the Dream Harbour series. I have read books 1 to 5, I believe. So, you know, it's the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, the Christmas Tree Farm, the Strawberry Patch Pancake House, and there was one literally just recently and it's gone right out on my head again. It was Annie and Mac's story. I really enjoyed that one, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens in the next one. The next one is focusing on Daisy, who is the florist in this little small town. But yeah, I just love these books. They're really super cheesy, but they're such a good, quick, easy read and a nice palate cleanser in between those heavier books. And that is due for release on the 5th of May this year. We then move on to the next release I'm excited for, and that is part of the Cinnamon Falls series. And the first book was called A Cinnamon Falls Mystery, and that followed Nia, who returns to her charming autumnal hometown of Cinnamon Falls after a bad breakup, only to get pulled into solving a murder at the local diner during preparations for the fall festival. And that is basically book 1 in a nutshell. I thoroughly enjoyed this. This is by R.L. Kilmore. And yeah, if you haven't read that book, they are real seasonal reads. So yeah, like I said, I started reading this back in the autumn last year. And book number 2 is called Death at Daffodil Inn. So we are going into like the springtime and I can't wait for it. I think they're following different stories. So I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think you necessarily have to read them all. But it probably reads better if you do. And it just says Death at Daffodil Inn is the second book in the Cinnamon Falls series, a cosy mystery romance featuring amateur sleuth Morgan Taylor, who must solve a murder her family's in during the annual Daffodil Jubilee, all while navigating building romance with a single dad, Will. And it just says the book combines small town charm, a murder mystery and romance tropes like friends to lovers, a love triangle. And it just says this is appealing to fans of like your Gilmore Girls and shows like that. And yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed the first one. Can't wait for the second. And that is out on the 26th of February. So not long to wait for that one, but really looking forward to it. The next book on my list is the second book in the Shield of Sparrows series. So we had the Shield of Sparrows released last year by Daphne Perry, and we now have book 2, which is called Rights of the Starling. I'll pop the picture here. And that is going to be released on the 7th of April 2026. And book 1, I'll do the summary for book 1 because obviously if I talk about book 2 you're going to get spoilers for book 1. So book 1 just said, long ago the gods unleashed monsters upon the 5 kingdoms of Calandra to remind us that humans are insignificant, that we must pray to the gods for mercy throughout our fragile fleeting lives. I didn't need a deity to remind me I was powerless. Being a princess had never been more than a performance, 23 years of empty titles and hollow traditions, until the day an infamous monster hunter sailed to our shores. The day a prince walked into my father's throne room and ruined my life. The day I married a stranger, signed a magical treaty and set off across the continent to the most treacherous kingdom in all the realm. That was the day I learned that not all myths are make-believe, that lies and legends are often the same, and that the only way to kill the monsters we fear was to become one. So yeah, it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know there's very mixed opinions with it. However, I definitely recommend giving it a go. And yeah, seeing what you think. The next book that I am really looking forward to, only because I've seen it advertised. I've not read from this author before. It's a new book. and it's called, and I'll put the picture here, Stay for a Spell by Amy Coombe, and it's classed as a cosy fantasy romance. So now and again I enjoy that kind of read, and it just says, Princess Tannadel of the Widemar longs to build a life of her own making. During a royal visit to the cosy town of Little Pepperidge, Tandy's dream comes true when she finds herself cursed to remain in a rundown bookshop until she finds her heart's desire. And, you know, anything with a bookshop and books, we all love that trope. It says, more than a little thrilled, she hires a new assistant, teenage goth Sasha, and settles into life among the stacks. Despite the infuriatingly handsome pirate Bash, who keeps showing up at the shop with his good looks and his own curse to figure out, today's new life might just make her happy. There are just 7 minor problems. With her royal duties unfulfilled, the frantic king and queen send the 7 princes of the realm to bestow upon Tandy a kiss, each a hoping to break the curse. After all, what more could a princess want than a prince? And it just says it's a whimsical, heartwarming fantasy romance, and it's for fans of people who love the Legends and Latte series and The Princess Bride. I haven't read any of them, however that description was just so like whimsical and just really cosy that I'm looking forward to giving it a go. And that comes out on the 23rd of April 2026. We then move on to a book by Kristin Ciccarelli. I think it's Ciccarelli. She did the Crimson Moth duology, and yeah, she's got a new standalone young adult fantasy book coming out on the 12th of February, and it's called A Dark Forgetting. And it just says, no matter how far Emmeline Lark runs, the song of the forest reaches her, luring her away from her dreams of the stage and back to her small town and its superstitions. But every superstition is rooted in truth, and when her grandfather goes missing, Emmeline is forced to return to Edgewood and the forest beyond. There, even Hawthorne Fell, a brooding tithe collector, cannot dissuade her from her path, a path that will lead her into the court of the fabled Wood King himself and into a bargain with the deadliest price. So yeah, I just thought I really enjoyed the Crimson Moth, so I wanted to give this one a go. And it is a standalone fantasy, which is just sometimes just what we all need when we've got lots of long fantasy series ahead of us. Next book on my anticipated releases is a book called Stolen Midnights by Catherine Quinn. Again, this is a new author to me, and I just really like the description of the book. I think it's going to be a series because it says book 1, and this is coming out on the 3rd of February 2026. And it just says, when Damon, a cold and hardened thief, is hired to steal a gift from the powerful fates meant for Anderley's sweetheart, Wren Hayes, he finds himself entangled in a web of secrets. The gift? A locket containing his own photograph. Once the locket is opened, hidden truths unravel, ones that shed light on the ruthless way of the upper class society. Yearning for the 3 fates and the magical gifts they bestow, the Lords of Anderley will go to any length to keep their power, including murder. Brought together by destiny and fighting a temptation that neither understand, Wren and Damien navigate a seedy world where the truth can destroy not only their lives but the city itself. So yeah, really, really looking forward to that one. We then move on to another one. This one was very much inspired by watching Emmy read this trilogy. She absolutely loved it, and it's called Unearthly by Cynthia Hand. This is out on the 12th of February, and I think it's been out before, but it's getting like a revamp. It's part of the Unearthly trilogy, and yeah, I just think it sounds right up my street. It's an older style fantasy book, so it's going to read a bit differently for that time. And it just says, Clara has known she is part angel since she turned 14 years 2 years ago. But only now, though fragmented visions of a terrifying bushfire is her purpose, the crucial rite of passage for every part angel becoming clear to her. When Clara meets Christian, the boy in her visions, he is everything she could wish for. So why does she always have feelings for her enigmatic classmate Tucker? Clara discovers that her purpose is only a small part of her titanic struggle between angels and their destructive counterparts, the Blackwings. And when the fire of vision erupts and both Christian and Tucker are in danger, who will she choose to save? So I think it looks like it's a bit of a love triangle as well. But yeah, that really intrigued me. Emmy made it sound really, really interesting, so I wanted to give it a go. Another book I'm looking forward to is the third book in the Fae and Alchemy series. Now, we do not have a date for this right now, so who knows if it's even going to be out in 2026, but I wanted to put it on here because it may well have a release date in the coming months and come out. So I wanted to make sure that I did add that because I've read Quicksilver and I've read Brimstone, and I would love to. I think it's going to be a trilogy. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's going to be a trilogy, so I'd like to get this one completed. Another book I'm looking forward to is The Fox in Winter by Antonia Hodgson. This book is book 2 to The Raven Scholar. Again, this book hasn't got a release date. We haven't even got a book cover, so it might not even be out this year. However, I am keeping my fingers crossed because I absolutely loved The Raven Scholar. It was just outstanding. It was something I've not read anything like it before, and yeah, I can't wait for book number 2. I'm really, really excited for it. It's part of the Eternal Path trilogy. What I will do is I will read a bit of the synopsis for book number 1, The Raven Scholar, so that you can go away and give that a read if you want to before the next book comes out. So it just says, after 24 years on the throne, it is time for Berson the Brusque, Emperor of the Oran, to bring his reign to an end. In the dizzying heat of midsummer, 7 contenders will compete to replace him. Trained at rival monasteries, each contender is inspired by a sacred animal: fox, raven, tiger, ox, bear, monkey and hound. An 8th, the dragon proxy, will be revealed once the trials have begun. 8 exceptional warriors, thinkers, strategists, the best of the best. Then one of them is murdered. It falls to Nima Kra to investigate, but as she hunts for a killer, dark forces are gathering. If Nima succeeds, she could win the throne, whether she wants it or not. But if she fails, she will sentence herself to death and set in motion a sequence of events that could doom the Empire. So yeah, we're following Nima Kra. And yeah, I honestly, there's one book out of these books that I could recommend. The Raven Scholar has to be one of them. And yeah, like I say, the anticipated release of The Fox in Winter is like up here somewhere. I'm just so excited for it. I just hope it doesn't let me down. And then we have 2 more books to go through, and that is called The Lion. I'm just going to double check. It is called The Lion and the Deathless Dark, and it's by Carissa Broadbent, and it's part of her Crowns of Nyaxia series. And I think it's the first book in the last duology that's coming out. And this is releasing on the 4th of August this year. I have read most of the books in that universe, apart from this one right here. This is the second book of one of the duologies that I need to read, and then I can move on to this one. But we have some time before the next one's released. But yeah, it's a series that I have really enjoyed. And then the last but not least is The Faraway Inn by Sarah Beth Durst, and this is released on the 9th of April 2026, and this is called Faraway Inn, and it's a young adult fantasy, and it's set in the same world as The Spell Shop. However, it is a completely different story, so we won't see a crossover of characters, I don't think. And it just says, when 16-year-old Kalisa arrives at her great aunt's bed and breakfast for the summer, she's shocked to find it run down rather than cosy. Grumpy and eccentric Auntie Z is determined to keep everyone and anyone from messing with her beloved inn, even though she clearly needs the help. To convince her great aunt to keep her around, Kalisa sets to work fixing up the inn. enlisting extra help from the groundkeeper's handsome son, but the longer she stays, the surer she is that there's something strange about the B&B and its residents, something almost otherworldly. The inn is hiding a magical secret, but secrets are like doors. Once Calissa opens one, she won't be able to go back. So I have loved these, and they're very much cosy fantasies again, and I have to be in the right frame of mind for them. I do have the Enchanted Greenhouse on my book cart, I think, wrapped up right now. I think it's on there somewhere. But yeah, I just love her books. They're just so whimsical, and I absolutely love The Spell Shop, even though there's not always a lot of plot going on in them. But yeah, they are the 13 books I am really looking forward to this year. There's probably many more coming out that I haven't included in this list, but they were just some of the top reads that I've noted and thought, yeah, I really want to buy them. But yeah, hopefully you have found some recommendations yourself out of this video. Let me know what some of your anticipated releases are for 2026. I know this video is coming out a bit later than probably I planned originally. However, time has just got on the way with me in January, and yeah, I just thought it's still enough time for me to do it. And yeah, I hope everyone is having a good start to their new year. And like I say, please let me know what you're up to, what you are reading, and I will see you in my next video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.